there have been 99 ISs before this that have kind of led to this moment.
It's a chance where you have the space to maybe relook at things and innovate.
If I screw this up now, it's going to be really, really bad. There's really nothing like it. It's a very adrenaline-rushed feeling.
There's a lot of eyes on international events.
I always get emotional when I tell the story, so I'm unable to say it without tears on my eyes.
If I can manage this, I can manage anything at my side. And I thought, yes!
Only you can bring the energy in. You are the party that's responsible, and that's terrifying in a sense.
You hear their applause, you hear their excitement.
It's a very action-packed, action-filled part of the session.
Taking a moment to accept that it's real and it's actually happening.
It's really the time when you're asked, use your voice.
From there, I'm sure that the journey will take you where you're supposed to be.
It can also offer nice closure as well, and to kind of put a bow on things.
Hi, I'm Anya Supranenko. I'm the Executive Director of the European Youth Parliament. The history of EYP goes back to a school in Fontainebleau and a group of teachers who wanted to develop a pan-European program for their school and classes in exchange. And it started very much as an exchange program between French schools and UK schools and actually Greek schools. EYP Greece was one of the first countries to join the network as well.
It was a huge organization from nothing to getting 144 young people from all over Europe. And we didn't have anywhere to put them other than in host families. So we had to contact every single person in Fontainebleau to ask them, would you please take a delegate? And they said, what, a delegate? What for? And so we had to explain the whole thing. But they were very good and they had a lovely time there.
Our methodology it works throughout years. So it worked in 1987 when it was, there were no mobile phones and social media, and tickets were more expensive when people had to write letters. The infrastructure just didn't work, but the team building, committee work, General Assembly was already there. And of course we changed and adapted, and new roles were introduced, but still it works. So I think we celebrate the ability of EYP to adapt, yet to stick to the core here at the 100th International Session. But what has changed is still a number of things. First, we grew geographically. So we really included the entire Eastern Europe, Balkans.
It was in my vision to grow it always. And even before the EEC became the European Union, we already invited all the countries that were supposed to become future members of the EU.
We've made a huge step in becoming more inclusive. And I think it's still a long way to go, but we really reduce a lot of barriers, financial barriers, travel barriers.
And so we were always working to extend the experience to other countries, to involve more young people. And the whole idea was basically to get the whole of Europe involved.
What is very special about EYP, that this youth-led, it is integrated everywhere. There are no adults around telling young people what to do. It's the magic of EYP, that young people are really given this chance to decide and shape what they want to do. In 1989, we hosted our third international session here in Thessaloniki, and it was at the same time as the fall of the Berlin Wall. And it really happened at the General Assembly that the German delegation, consisting of 16 to 17-year-olds, received a call, so it was a phone call, so I'm not even exactly sure how it worked out, from one of their parents. And I always get emotional when I tell the story, so I'm unable to say it without tears on my eyes. I will try. Suddenly, the German delegation of 16, 17-year-olds burst in applause and tears, and because they received the news that the Berlin Wall fell down. And yeah, it's just such a special story, because I think it also demonstrates the significance of EYP and how people also experience a lot of political and historic events. Of course, it's history for us. It was what's happening for this delegation. And it's through the personal contacts. So, of course, coming also from Ukraine myself, I also know how many of my friends also experienced the war in Ukraine or the revolution in Ukraine through the eyes of so many EYP peers, which made it much more personal or important to them to care for maybe a country or people that they would have not cared otherwise.
It was a historic event because it was the very first time, that young people had used the Senate. And I remember visiting the president of the Senate at the time, together with Nikita, who is from Milan, who was our academic director. And he said, "Why are you here?" So I said, "Well, I would like to invite the European Youth Parliament to have a session in the Senate." And he just looked at me and he couldn't believe what I was saying. He said, "Madam, do I hear that you want me to give the Senate, which has been the privilege of the Roman senators for over 2,000 years, and you want me to give it to a group of teenagers?" So I just said, "Well, there's always a first time, isn't there?" And he started laughing and he said, "That's fine then."
Young people get out of EYP many things, and I think there is many options what a young person can get out. And it can be either that you come and meet friends, or that you just broaden your horizons by traveling and just seeing your world. It also can be just skills building, starting from English, ending to public speaking, ability to debate, express yourself, compromise, to also just the feeling that you contribute to something larger. Our network consists of a lot of volunteers. It's done by young people, for young people. I think it's just not an overcomplicated thing. And of course, I guess what keeps it going is that Europe needs young people, and young people care for Europe and they want to shape its future. And as our mission is to empower and inspire young Europeans to become tolerant and open-minded, active citizens, I think it just works to keep on doing it.
My name is Stefanos Kerkoulas, and I am one of the two head organizers of the 100th International Session, and I've been working on this project since 2022.
I am Nikita, I come from Georgia, and I am the editor of the event.
The 100th International Session is very significant in the network as a milestone for the conclusion of a journey of more than 30 years, but also of a story of changing and adapting in an ever-changing society.
The EYP has hundreds of events throughout the year. There's regional events, there are national events, and then the largest scales ones are international events, which are considered to be the flagship events, and there's only a couple of them throughout the year. I think it's the nature of international events, the suspense it creates of, where will the next one be? Will I get to be a part of it? That exists among EYPers that make them particularly popular. There's a lot of eyes on international events. These numbers that are very slowly counting up every year, it will eventually become 100.
So it's our 100th international session happening here in Thessaloniki, and I find it personally so special that for 37 years we've managed to organize 100 events in 32 countries in 73 cities. Thessaloniki is also hosting the session not for the first time, and the reason it's so important and the reason we name it our flagship event is because it's one of 3 events each year where we bring the entire network together. And of course, the significance also is for us to take a moment and reflect in all the successes and impact we have created.
I feel like the role of the 100th International Session is to look back on the past to a big extent, to emphasize on the journey of the organization and how through 37 years now, EYP has been a platform that empowers thousands of young people to become active citizens. This is not a small accomplishment that EYP has stood so valuable to so many young people for so long.
So many young people went through participating in EYP, and they are now our alumni out there. And our alumni are members of the government, members of the parliament, members of businesses, NGOs. They are really all over the world contributing to the better causes.
And any milestone, any anniversary always comes with a bit of a reflection of the past. And this is what we're also trying to emphasize on a bit more through this session. We're very lucky to form this narrative together.
My hopes for the 100th International Session is to be a pillar for this network, not just for the emotional part of having a session of that magnitude, and it is very important for our international community and our network to be able to come together and enjoy these 10 days in the heat of the summer of Thessaloniki. So yeah.
I am Elena, and I am one of the head organizers of the 100th International Session of EYP.
I'm Will. I'm from Ireland. I've been involved in EYP. My first time as a delegate was in 2013, if you can believe it. Now it's been a while. But yeah, I'm the president of the session, and that role involves leading the chairs team.
At this point in EYP, and with everything that has been done for the session and in the session as a concept, the most important thing, as always, would be the delegate experience and them having fun.
Choosing a team for the international session and selecting the people that will accompany you and make your dream a reality alongside you is a very real problem and a very real question when you start this journey. Me and Elena, we hopped on this journey hoping for a team of dreamers, and I think that for the better part we got that. It was a mix of friends and people we didn't know, but it was in total a group of people that were dreaming for something bigger than themselves, and that was 100.
We're going to split off into groups of 4, so we're going to have Nikita, myself. So the role of the president, I think the first thing that comes is developing the vision for the chairs team, and this is even before you've even gone through the process of building your team. You also have to build, let's say, the vision from the chairs team, which looks a bit more at the politics as well, and looks a bit more at the sort of political conversations and discussions and even the topics themselves that are to be discussed, which fit the theme of the session.
I'd say the most exciting part of the media team work as an editor can also sometimes coincide to be the most stressful. The most exciting part is seeing all the projects that all the media teams are working on come to fruition. You hear about these ideas very early on, and you're there every step of the way when media team members tell you how a project or a videography piece or anything that they're working on is going to look like. Theory, these ideas eventually come into a very tangible product that you get to see, you get to hear. It's very exciting.
And then it comes with assembling the team. It also involves coordinating with the people who've been doing a lot more work, such as the head organisers and the media team who've been part of the project for a long period as well, and understanding where our team fits into that, how we can help them, how we can understand their vision, how we can help facilitate that as well, because it's a collaborative effort. Yeah, I just felt very happy about it and just felt very excited that I'd been given this opportunity. And I think a little bit after that, got a bit nervous.
It can often be nerve-wracking because it's one thing to imagine an effective project or an interesting story to tell in your head, but then it's an entirely different skill to take this imagination and translate it exactly how you would want. And I'd say that also ties in with the role of the editor, to understand how these ideas would lead to something that stays true with the original idea of the person you're working with.
Biggest challenge is always having so many people. It was very stressful to kind of accommodate the vision of the anniversary event and also make sure that people can have a good experience, even though many things at the session were constantly changing even a week before it started taking place.
So many delegates at the session are discussing so many important topics that are relevant in Europe today, and their experiences matter, their opinions and the impacts, the voices of young people matter too much.
And also, I think the potential to look at the practices that we use in EYP, considering that it is the 100th, considering there is a sort of, even though it is just another IS, it's a chance where you have the space to maybe relook at things and innovate.
And simultaneously, I would like to open the 100th international session of the European Youth Parliament here in Thessaloniki.
To describe my team, they're a very, very passionate group of people. They're very motivated about EYP, they're very motivated about sharing and motivated about the impact they can have with this session, but whenever they do EYP as well.
Hi everyone, my name is João and I am in Thessaloniki as a chairperson at the international session here. The reason I applied for Thessaloniki is, number one, I love round numbers.
So my name is Nina, I'm from the Netherlands and I'm a chairperson at this session. I'm chairing the Libe committee. The 100th holds importance in that it is the 100th IS because there have been 99 ISs before this that have kind of led to this moment.
But you have, again, the structures that EYP has built up over literal decades.
There is, I think, value in important flagship events like this, where we can celebrate, okay, we've come so far since the first one, and we've really innovated, in a sense, theme of the session. So the role of a chairperson is basically facilitating the process of committee. Committee is a group of delegates who all work together on one subject.
In any case, my job is to make sure that those 14 people who all come from different countries and different backgrounds are able to work together well. They're able to discuss things by being respectful and kind, and generally know sufficiently about the topic to work in the topic, find solutions, identify sub-problems.
You're leading them through the entire process from team building to committee work to General Assembly.
I'm always nervous before I meet my committee. In a sense, I am fully team building myself into the structure as well.
When delegates arrived, they were actually sent to a place where they had team building with instructors to get to know each other really well, to do exercises, which meant a sort of trust fall was included. We also had the zip line, and they flew from trees down.
Every single time I've chaired in EYP, I really have not felt more stressed than right before, than the day before, and even the hours before general team building, which is the time where you meet your committee, basically.
At the Harbour of Innovation, the 100th International Session of the EYP!
Building, let's say, a good team spirit, which is above all one of the most important things to make sure that people have an enjoyable time here. And as a volunteering organisation, people want to keep coming back as well.
Hello everyone, my name is Nina, I use she, her pronouns, I'm from the Netherlands, Amsterdam, and I am chairing Libe.
Hi everyone, I'm João, I am chairing Apple
So at the start, when you're sort of just saying, so for my case, Empel 1, and you're really like yelling and everything, you really have to put in a lot of like nervous energy and just power through all of those feelings of awkwardness, because only you can bring the energy in. You are the party that's responsible, and that's terrifying in a sense. If you are able to define yourself as someone who is there for them, who is happy to help bridge that awkwardness that you already yourself feel, and really put yourself in a vulnerable position on behalf of the group, that's going to give you a lot of credibility, and it's going to also create a lot of trust towards you.
I can still hear one girl saying, "Oh no, I will never do this. I will never ever do this." But she was made to do it by her friends in her committee. Nobody told her you have to, but her friend said, "Come on, you can manage this, you know?" And when she did it and she came off the zip line, she said, "If I can manage this, I can manage anything in my time." And I thought, yes, that's it.
So when I first met these delegates during Thessaloniki, I was very, very happy to see them finally in person, because we had been in contact for already a few weeks pre-session. It was just really nice to see them in person mostly.
But then you slowly start to understand that the warmth is coming also from the delegates, not just from you. You're not the only one injecting doses of energy into things, and people are starting to open up. And that's when actually the really beautiful things start happening.
So I want to offer a validating, fun and social experience to them.
I'm really excited. I haven't done team building in a long time, and it gives me real joy. I'm seeing the bonding sort of happen. I'm playing new games that I haven't done before, but I've seen other chairs do, and I really love trying these new things and having them work.
I'm really happy actually. My delegates are super nice, and we've been bonding very well as a committee so far. Despite the heat, the vibes are good. There's a lot of energy. I think everyone is excited that this is the 100th international session, and that we get to be a part of something kind of monumental. So yeah, I'm trying to hype my delegates up for that as well, and it's going really well so far.
I think everyone is excited to be here, excited to meet other people. I love that delegates are communicating with each other, sharing stories, sharing information about their countries and where they come from. Also sharing experience about EYP and why they love EYP.
General team building was quite interesting. I think we have one of the most funny group, if I can say it that way, because we got along really well and we did lots of dances and we have lots of fun and we are laughing a lot. So I like my group so far, and the team building is quite cool.
In a sense, I think committee work only really works because we have the extended team building phase. It really isn't just about making people have a little bit of fun before they have to do the work. I think that only a well-oiled, comfortable team, happy team can actually do work that is on this level, meaning very specific, very intense, very high demand sort of work, if they are properly team built, if there is a spirit that works around everyone.
A little bit worried about kind of how to split up among the 3 days, because it's a lot. I've never chaired a session that long before. I think they're quite excited about the topic, but I think it's also a topic that can go in many directions. But I'm mostly excited. I think it's going to be very enjoyable. We're going to have a very wholesome start to committee work tomorrow.
So for me, I think with committee work, it's something which is you're always nervous and excited about. But I think they've certainly experienced a lot. I think everyone who has been in a committee has experienced a lot. One thing I'd say is that they've certainly experienced different things.
With that being said, committee work is, in theory, the core part of the session. This is when we actually discuss the political education aspect of EYP.
The committee work process is basically the process where the delegates are able to really create the resolution and basically take part in any academic work that is done throughout the event.
And committee work does the magic thing, which is now that you've team built and now that you've really understood that there's something special going on here, you bring in the topic and you, I think, do the very special, very difficult, but very natural and intuitive work of showing people that it's actually very interesting.
Then as a chairperson, you're basically leading them through every single step of the process. For me, it's always very important that the basis of any academic work is good and that there's a lot of knowledge sharing done so that all delegates are basically on the same level and we can make sure that everyone feels good in their own knowledge and comfortable in the process.
My delegates are actually very well prepared. They are also very respectful, kind, and funny people, all very charismatic as well. Love you all a lot.
My topic in this session is espionage, political spyware. So we've been really working on, okay, what does that mean? Or who does it impact? And then how can we solve the problems surrounding this topic?
We're talking about pensions reform. In our specific case, how we can make pensions and the things that make older people in our societies make their lives livable in a financial sense.
In a committee work environment, it is very important for me that my delegates have fun. I think sometimes as chairs or in academics in general, we tend to kind of disregard anything fun after team building. And it's always been my goal to kind of make sure that my delegates still feel that same sense of accomplishment and energy that they'll have during team building.
I prioritize their ability to be able to function independently, understand what we're doing, to also define for themselves what structures of work they want to follow.
I think what is very common for delegates to face in committee work is that there's a certain aspect of tiredness or exhaustion that comes into play throughout the days, mostly because, it is a very tiring experience, honestly. It's a lot of work that they have to do. It's a lot of paying attention. It's a lot of navigating different roles that they're not necessarily used to.
Committee work, therefore, is the most challenging part for me. That's the time when you really have to keep all of your balls in the air and just keep juggling. In my case, it means that people, for example, know what the 3 pillars of the social security systems are. That is incredibly niche knowledge in the real world. There's no way that you can just pick someone off the street and expect them to know what an occupational pension is or what the difference is between a supplementary pension and I'm not saying if you're watching this video and you're fully going, yeah, I know what that is, good for you, very, very impressive. And you'll be talking about pension reform for one, but also about food waste. You'll be talking about military aid to third-party countries. You'll be talking about AI and automation. You'll be talking about a million things that are very complex and very, very, very difficult to understand.
My delegates are incredibly hyped for GA. I think it can be very stressful, but also something to really look forward to, in the sense that, okay, this is kind of the combining moment of all of our work during the session, and it's sometimes a nice way to end a session.
General Assembly is very important because it's where these ideas get seen by people who haven't initially seen them. And it's important because ultimately what defines each resolution, or what defines each position that delegates come up with are certain values and certain understandings of problems. And it's those understandings and those solutions that need to be presented and need to be understood by people.
General Assembly, in a sense, is the most natural or external friendly even part of EYP. It's very easy to understand. It's similar to other organizations that do relatively similar work to ours, like MUN or the Model European Parliament. It's a plenary of all the committees, all the groups that have been working on these topics, and they all sort of espouse opinions.
Before I officially begin, I want you all to take a moment, look around, take a breath, and remember the past 8 days. Almost 250 participants, 15 heated debates, all this at the 100th International Session.
The delegates are able to present their resolutions that they came up with during committee work to the other committees, and the other committees are then able to also make some points on those resolutions. I think General Assembly is a very valuable experience to delegates because they're able to actually show people, okay, this is what we've done, we're very proud of it, what do you think?
There's speeches, there's points from the floor, there's direct responses. It's a very action-packed, action-filled part of the session.
So in general, I think the emotions in GA and just the feelings, I think nervousness is certainly one of them. I think excitedness also is one, and sometimes is maybe not recognized when people are nervous. Also tiredness as well, which is very normal because it's been a lot. It's most sessions, and especially sessions of these lengths, can take it out of people.
It can be for some people a quite stressful experience, but I think there is for sure a way where you can kind of balance all of those experiences and give everyone a chance to present their own ideas.
It's extremely challenging to go out there and say what you want to say. In a sense, also, you feel a little bit of pressure to say anything. It's really the time when you're asked, use your voice. What you want to say needs to come from you, but there is sort of a big place where you're being asked, say something.
People feel passionate about their ideas. Also, people feel passionate about lots of other topics that they might not have had the chance to be in a committee on. So I think there's a lot of, I just think there's a lot of energy. I think there can be a lot of energy.
Any group of people with a bunch of chairs where people stand up and speak to others is a very special place, I think, in human connection and in human relations. We're in Greece. I think it's a very, Greek concept. GA really is just a continuation of that. And we have all of these structures and we have all of these fancy names, but in the end, it's just people talking to each other.
I also like that in EYP, although it is part debate, it's also very focused on constructive criticism and also appreciating the work that other people have put into these resolutions.
We've done this in the European Parliament. We've done this in parliaments across Europe, and we've also done this in random auditoriums in polytechnics, schools, universities, or there's even been a GA outside at a certain point. I think it was in Italy.
Sometimes with that, GA can also offer nice closure as well, and to kind of put a bow on things.
Everyone at a certain point in their lives will screw up a public speaking assignment. That's just a guarantee. There's no way that every time that you need to speak to a group of more than 3 or 4 people, you will always be the most charismatic, the most clear, the most absolutely capable communicator in the room. GA teaches you that, and it also teaches you that it's of no consequence most of the times, because most people who do it already gain so much from it.
Okay. Looking back into the making of the 100th and it becoming a reality, I'd say that for the most part it was a challenging process of figuring out logistics and trying to make the best of what we had. But I think that overall, seeing the smiles of the participants, the delegates, the officials, it was the most rewarding part, because it is what we make this session for. It is the international community that we want to bring together to celebrate this milestone of our network.
As Elena said, it's been quite a journey. It's been 3 years of imagining, visioning, making.
The EYP sessions can be very work-heavy, and this is a good thing. There's a lot of impactful work that happens in these committees. But then I feel like there's always this excitement of, now I get to sit back and watch a media project, don't know where it will take me, maybe I will show up there, maybe I won't, and to show them something that you know that the media team members you worked with have put in so much effort in, and it resonates with the delegates. You hear their applause, you hear their excitement. They're asking when this will be posted because they want to send it to their friends. It's an incredibly gratifying moment, and I feel that particular moment is where most people fall in love with media and decide to do more and more. It definitely was the case for me.
Delegates, do you not relate?
Really take your time. Really take your time. I think it's important that I really enjoyed being a delegate, and I got to be a delegate for a good number of sessions, and I really enjoyed that, and I felt I learned a lot from that. And I think there's no need to rush. I say that as somebody who's been involved in the network for a while. So maybe you could do it a little bit quicker than me. It's a matter of you do it because you enjoy it and you feel like you're making a positive contribution to the people you're around. You know, you don't need to rush things. Doing that is more than enough, and finding ways to do that in the ways that you feel comfortable in, that's amazing.
There are just so many options and so many ways to add to this organization without necessarily having to have a very academic or a very political experience.
And that's why it's so important. I think the impact we have on the participants of the international session is so huge that then it's really very likely that they become ambassadors of EYP, but especially Europe and democracy and prosperous future for all of us.
My message to young people in EYP is to use these opportunities. Try organizing. If it's a thing for you, then enjoy it, do more of it. If it's not, go to academics and see how that goes for you. And if it doesn't, then go to media, and I'm sure you'll find something that's for you in the realm of the European Youth Parliament. This organization makes learning very fun. Embrace it.
A few years from now, you will not remember the names of the venues, you will not remember the resumption past, but hopefully you will have 1 or 2 friends from this room that you'll keep on seeing across Europe and that you'll keep speaking with, or even make even deeper connections. My message to people just starting out would be to just enjoy the moment and kind of see where it takes you, and from there, I'm sure that the journey will take you where you're supposed to be.
All of you starting this journey and hopping onto the wagon of EYP, I'd say that take this journey to whatever place it takes you. Enjoy the process, meet people, connect with people, bond with them, and allow them to share with you the best of what this network has to offer.
This organization is worth it insofar as you make it worth it for you. EYP really is made up of small pieces of people trying to go on little journeys or long journeys and trying to get little beautiful things out of it. You will never be able to actually anticipate what you're going to get out of EYP. You might come into it thinking, I would love to build up my CV. Nothing wrong with that. You might be coming into it thinking, I'd love to be more confident in dealing with people. Nothing wrong with that. You might just want to meet some people and travel across Europe. Also nothing wrong with that. The part you really want to focus on is when you understand that you did something right. Keep yourself humble, but you should be proud.
Long live EYP, the longer it can go on and the better it can become for so many young people. Congratulations to all of you for taking it forward. Thank you very much.
This is real, folks. This is live, you know? It's live TV, you know? You can't shoot it again.
So, Mr. President.
And explore every path possible to make our dream possible.
Why does it say Nikita plus banana? Is there a reason for this?
Yes, they can very good.
Can someone clean my glasses?
Do you like the setup?
I think it's very cool. Yeah.
I think it's really cool as well. It's biased, but yes.
I think you're right to be biased.
Potiskał Nikita that book.
Long answer.
Yes.
Good luck editing that.
Anything specific that you want me to touch upon that Joao perhaps said too much about? Or you never know.
Now I think we could go into the sort of...
You need to swing that camera too.
Well...
Hi camera one. Hi camera two.
Hello.
I want to be on here. It's the last one.
You will not include yourself in the document.